Hello, colleagues. Hello, friends. My name is Evgenia. I'm supporting this topic as a moderator, and I hope that you can hear us. You can see us. If you do, please tap any sign in the chat, plus or any other sign. It seems that everything is okay.
We have three
So
pluses here.
yes, you have three pluses, and during the talk, please write your questions in the chat, and I will read them at the end when we will have a Q&A session. And I'm glad to introduce our speaker, Anna. Anna is an agile consultant, training coach, advanced certified Scrum Master, professional Scrum Master, Agile project manager. And Anna is the founder and CEO of Prime Project. Anna
That's
have
correct.
Anna have more than 12 years of experience in Agile and 17 years in project and team management in total. So Anna, please.
Thank you very much, Evgenia. And again, hi everyone. So glad to see you here, and thank you for joining my talk. Actually, I'm really happy to be here. And here are some thoughts that I am going to share with you over like agile mindset challenges or how to overcome resistance. Evgenia covered pretty much everything about myself. Like the only thing that I can say or add is that I'm from Armenia. Yeah, a sunny small country. And
Bye-bye.
Hi, hello. And actually, yeah, I have done a lot of projects, like for the maybe like this is approximate number for the projects, like 80 plus teams coached and 600 individuals trained. So I'm doing also individual trainings, and most of my clients have been like from IT, of course, but also I had experience in banking and professional services. So that's me. Okay, so before we start with the challenges, let's just get deep dive into what is agile mindset, because that's the question that is, let's say, very much like negotiated and talked about. And here is a very interesting quote from Susan McIntosh. What is exactly an agile mindset? Agile mindset is the set of attitudes supporting an agile working environment. These include respect, collaboration, improvement, and learning cycles. Pride in ownership, focus on delivering value, and the ability to adapt to change. This mindset is necessary to cultivate high-performing teams who, in turn, deliver amazing value for their customers. I like this quote very much, and it covers pretty much everything about what is agile mindset. Okay, so let's move on. Why it is important, actually. Okay, so if we just take a look into statistics, there are a lot of surveys based on that. And one of the surveys that I found, there were like 8,000 participants, and they were saying that 25% of, like teams, agile teams are 25% more productive and 50% faster to market than non-agile teams. Let's agree that these numbers are really big. Why it is important on company level. So let's just imagine the company, why it is important. Because first of all, they are able to manage the changing priorities. Then they have the full project visibility or project visibility, product visibility, whatever you wish. They have the alignment between business and IT. They have improved team morale, team culture, team spirit, team dynamics, right? And they have increase in team productivity. They are reducing them project risks and costs, increasing project predictability, and of course, improving quality. And there are much, much more, but these are like the basic things that really make an impact. Why it is important on personal level? Okay, so first of all, as someone who has this agile mindset, or who is part of an agile team, you find it easy actually to adapt to different situations. So it is not something, oh, my world is ended and I don't know what to do. But you find it easy because you are already, adapted to, having these kind of changes. For example, even the situation with COVID, a lot of people were really having hard times because like working remotely, how can I do this? How can I collaborate with my team members, whatever. But people who are already working in agile teams, they know that change is good and change can happen, especially in our uncertain world. So they find it much easier to adapt to, changes that happen. They are able to overcome obstacles, learn from experiences. This is really important. We are mostly learning from the failures, not from the successes, because then we have to, think about, okay, why did we fail? What was the reason, etc., etc. So we are getting some learning from our experience. The next important thing is that we are becoming a more valuable team member because we are more committed, because we are more focused, we are more helpful. We are not thinking about our ego, but we are thinking about our team, our company, the overall goal. And we are achieving like the first mover advantage. Like we are the bringers, we are the people who are pushing forward the agile mindset, the agile practices and values and principles. So it is always something that a company values. We are improving results and staying ahead of the competitors. And one of the most important things is that we are having this positive attitude. We are having fun because, we have our, responsibilities. We know what we are doing. We have the goals. We share the vision. So all of this is, affecting also our mood. Okay, so again, let's get back to the statistics. There is a really great website, stateofagile.com. If you do not know it, I encourage you to go and check it. Every year, they do like reports on Agile, like on the state of Agile. And like this is the final report, the 14th, and the challenges when adopting and scaling Agile are written here. So I'm not going to go into details of each of the roles, but the one that I want to put a stress on is the first one, okay? So general organization resistance to change. This is the number one, number one topic in this survey. So this is the thing that most people say that is really, happening as a big challenge within their organizations. Okay, let's then to understand the resistance, let's go back to the mindset of the people. So usually there are let's say two types of mindsets, like the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Okay, growth mindset is usually equal to agile mindset. Okay, what do we mean by saying fixed mindset? So fixed mindset people are usually, have been working for years in their companies, and they have been afraid, for example, of failures, or they have been afraid of tasks that have a high risk in them, or they always say, okay, this is not my responsibility, this is not my task, why should I do it, etc. So it is always a matter of, status, certainty, something that always is becoming an obstacle. So this fear zone is constantly with them. So they do not want to do any extra, steps towards the growth. So as an example, if we say, let's say if we do this agile change within the company, and as a typical resistance from a team member would be something like this. I've been working like this for years and do not understand why we have to work together on user stories. We can have specialized tasks instead. Okay, so we are denying the fact that there is a change. We do not want it. because we have been working like this for years. And usually like a person with a growth mindset, instead of saying why do you think so, you know, it is not right, you know, you can have these benefits or whatever, usually they are asking themselves questions. So question like, what can be the inner reason for this resistance? Okay, we try to analyze it. Another example would be, let's say, I've been working as a project manager for 10 years. I have led many big projects, and this transformation will bring chaos into our processes. So again, someone with a growth mindset would say, how can we see the benefits of this change? You know, so the first thing that he or she might think of. Okay, we are taking the same cases, and let's imagine how the person with growth mindset would, you know, say the same sentence. For example, if we compare, okay, there is this change, and let's say a person with growth mindset would say something like, I've been working on specialized tasks for years, and we never saw the full outcome of our work, or how much value did it bring to our customers, for example. We have to try the new approach to improve our collaboration and create a real piece of product. But again, even if the person with growth mindset, someone who wants to do this change, there would still be people who would say something like, that's not true, we did our job, we will fail like that, you know, this is not going to work out, etc., etc. And the same situation with the second case, like with the project manager role. I've been doing project management for years, but I have always been under pressure and exhausted. Right now, I have a chance to experiment with the new roles and try a new hat to unleash my potential and work in a healthier environment. So do you see this positive attitude towards learning, benefits? And again, someone with a fixed mindset would think, and sometimes they even do not say it out loud, they just think about it. Okay, what about my status, for example, right? What will happen to my project management role if we do this change? So why do people resist? If we just, you know, name some, you know, reasons for this, would be first, hidden inner motivators. Second, too many changes that are happening at once. Three, if the senior management does not have the buy-in, so they are not supporting the team, but they are just saying, okay, we are going to do agile, but you do it, but we are going to stay in the same conditions. So we will be asking for status reports, for example, you know. Four, changes are done during tight milestones. For example, if you have to deliver something very important in 2 months and the agile transformation happens, then definitely it is not the good time to do these kind of changes because they need time. And people would be really stressed because they know they have the milestone and they know they have to do the change. So there will be a lot of resistance with that. Fifth reason is like lack of agile knowledge. Usually people do not understand what agile is. So it sounds something like psychology or I don't know, something, and they do not see how it would work in their current situation. So they do not have the knowledge to evaluate it correctly. And the sixth, not knowing why we are doing this. Are we doing it because it is trendy, or we are doing it because we have the need for it? Okay, so this is really important. Why? And all of the people within the organization should know the answer to this. Okay, how to overcome the resistance? Here comes the logical question, because I want to disappoint you, because there is no one single pill that you will have and on the next day you will just open your eyes and say, okay, I have agile mindset now. It is not working out like this. But there are some tools, techniques which might help you to, you know, see the right path and to understand it better. So for example, like the first is, you know, if you are using a specific set of methodologies or frameworks or for you know, for structuring your product development process flows. This is the first thing. So using the strict frameworks or methodologies or practices even. Second is through understanding the resistance reasons and trying to work with the behavior to change the behavior of the people. And three, through having an ideal, picture, ideal plan in your head, like where do I want to be? Like, or what is my ideal role? What do I want to do? Or what is the company that I want to work in? So having this lighthouse is really helpful. And of course, let's also agree that resistance is something normal. And it is, let's say, it is necessary if it is aimed at right goals. Without resistance, nothing will change. To say honestly, like from my practice, I'm more afraid from teams which are not resistant and they do not say anything. So this is a troublemaker situation, okay? But the teams which are resisting, they are bringing their statements, etc., etc. These teams are just trying to understand. So it is much easier to work with this kind of people. Okay, so let's start from the bottom, okay? So we start with the tools, practices, and frameworks first. So tools, for example, we start using Jira for making our projects visible, for grouping all the people who are engaged in this project, for example, in one place. Then we use, for example, practices like, I don't know, code reviews, pair work, I don't know, user stories, backlogs, whatever. Then we are using the frameworks. For example, we start with Scrum. And after that, the next level would be, like more agile principles, agile values. And the most important thing here is that we keep all of this really simple and we do not lose our common sense. Because at the end, we are all people, and we should be moving from doing agile to being agile. And this is a very important path if we want to succeed. And let's say we would be doing, in the beginning, we would be doing like 80% of effort and we will be getting 20% of value. But at the end, when we reach this common sense, we understand like what agile means. We would be doing 20% of effort and we would be getting 80% of value. Can you imagine that? Okay, so what are the frameworks that help define the processes, practices, principles, and values? Okay, there are a lot of frameworks, but for my talk, I've chosen like Scrum, which is pretty familiar for almost everyone. So why it helps? Because it has a strictly defined care case, okay? We have the roles, we have the events, we have the artifacts, we have the definition of done, the product increment, so everything is pretty defined. Also, it has a very open space for some innovative practices which can be used. It is based on Agile Manifesto, so we have the values and principles that should, be corresponding to whatever we do within the framework, and it has its own values as well. And the next framework that I want to address is LeSS. Why LeSS? Because it is not very different from Scrum. It is the same Scrum, but for, like for more teams, for scaling Scrum. So it uses the same structure as the Scrum does. It has some really very minor differences. It is again open for innovative practices. At its core, it is again based on Agile Manifesto, but it also has its experiments, guides, frameworks, principles, and rules. So if you see here are our principles of Scrum and LeSS. So Scrum is more focused on iterative development, empirical process control, self-organization, collaboration, value-based prioritization, and time boxing. And LeSS is almost the same, but it uses a little bit more practices like lean thinking, system thinking, queuing theory. Like it is more focused on doing more with less. Again, it is customer centric. So a lot of things are pretty much covered. And then we have the values. Okay, in Scrum values, what do we have? Okay, courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness. In LeSS, we have almost the same. We have agile values, plus LeSS has its experiments, guides, frameworks, principles, and rules, which are helping the teams, to adopt it more easily. Okay, understanding the resistance, emotional stages, behavior, and reasons. This is the second step, remember, that we were talking. And this is really, really important. Okay, first of all, we start with the framework, with the tools, with the practices. We start understanding the values and principles. But what do we do if we still have the resistance? We have to also look into the psychological side of this topic. There are some models which can help you to do that. Okay, let's see on organizational level. Okay, here is this Kubler-Ross change curve. Maybe some of you know about it. So it was introduced, let's say there are 5 stages of grief and loss, which were introduced by Kubler-Ross in 1969, and the book named Death and Dying Book. So it was mainly about, people who had illness and they were afraid of death and they were not, they were denying this fact. But actually this model is pretty much used in management, and, it explains the emotional stages of employees during this change that is happening within their work environment. So if we look into the stages, so first of all, when we hear that this change is coming, when we see it, there is a shock and denial, okay? No, I do not want this change. It is not going to happen. It is not happening with me, etc. Then there can be anger, we do not like it, we are frustrated, etc. Then we start bargaining, like if someone did this job, then we would end up with this. It is him to blame, we start blaming some other people, some other stuff. It is the organization that is doing the work wrong, it is not me, etc. Then it comes the lowest, part, like depression. And only after depression that we understand that we cannot do nothing about it and the change is already happening, only after that we start to go up and we accept the change, that, okay, this is the life, this is the real situation, so we have to live with it. Okay, so these stages are pretty much, like same in all organizations. So if we understand that people have to go through these stages, then it would be much easier, to deal with their resistance, for example. On team level, there is this Tuckman model. Okay, again, Bruce Tuckman introduced it in 1965, and it explains the team development and behavior. So the more mature team is, then also the more mature is the leadership, actually. And depending on the stage the team is in right now, the leadership can also change their behavior. For example, again, if you see almost the same curve, but the stages are like forming stage for team, then storming. So we start, to collaborate. We can have a lot of discussions. We can have a lot of fights even, So we are in the storming phase. Then norming, and only after norming we start performing. So again, the same curve. Again, like very pretty similar stages that we have to go before we start perform. And on personal level, there is really a great model that is named SCARF model, actually introduced by David Rock in 2008. It comes from neuroscience, and it explains how people usually interact with each other. So it actually says that, our capacity of making decisions, solving problems, and collaborating with other people is reduced by threat and is increased by reward response. So if you see on the image, okay, what does the SCARF stand for? Okay, it is status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So usually people have resistance because one of these reasons. And if there is a good leader who can understand it, for example, then this would be almost the 50% of the job would be done, because we will know why this person still resists. Maybe he is afraid of his status, maybe he thinks this is not fair towards him, or maybe he is afraid to lose autonomy, etc., etc. So we have to move this person, towards the reward, instead of, using threats. If you do not do this, then you will lose your job, for example, or your role. Um, okay, so let's just try it on an example. Again, we have these two guys on the presentation. Again, we have the same situation related to the project management role. Like, again, I've been working as a project manager for 10 years. I've led many big projects. This transformation will bring chaos into our processes. Okay, how should we start the conversation with the person who has this resistance? For example, if we started like this, you just do not know how good Agile is. You will have a new role. Isn't that good? Do you think that this would somehow help this person to become less resistant? Well, I don't think so, because you will get the same answer, actually, and he will be close for you. So this is wrong. Let's try another approach. Again, the same situation, but let's start with another questions, like, what are your feelings about this change? We will give, of course, the same response, but then we can continue. What is the ideal role for you? And then we'll be getting a different answer. Like, I want to be able to know what's going on, have full collaboration, and know what I'm responsible for. Okay, so here comes, already the essence of the resistance. So we might have already something to work with. So he might be afraid to lose his status as a project manager, or, this uncertainty makes him, feel like that. So this would be better approach. And this approach, of course, can also, you can have a lot more questions, but this is a way you can approach people who resist. And as a final thing, there are some things that I want you to remember. And maybe if you are not doing those, just try in your organizations. So first thing is that let's remember that our behavior is a function of our personality and environment. If we are changing the environment or personality, then our behavior would also be changed. But changing personality is much difficult. So we can try to change the environment that we work in. The second is that actually we have to understand the benefits of Agile, and we have to understand that Agile is for our good. So, getting deep into why we are doing, for example, daily stand-up, why we are doing this, if you just answer to the teams or to people who are, who want to get more information with deeper responses, like how this will change the people's work environment, then they might be less resistant, actually. Getting management and leadership support, this is really very important. You cannot do it alone, to say honestly. So all of the organizations should be supportive in this change, and especially senior management and leadership team. Understand your key inner reasons for resistance. Then having the ideal picture in your mind, like what is my perfect role, what do I want to do, or what is the company that I want to be in, or what is the team that I want to be in. Just know that change is always painful, no matter if it is an agile change or any other change. Like if you decide to start drinking tea from tomorrow instead of coffee, this will be hurtful because you have been drinking coffee, like, let's say, for the past 10 years. So it needs time, but at the end, you understand why you are doing it, because, for example, you want to become healthier, for example, or you want to have a better work environment in the future. And do not lose relatedness. This is important because in any case, in our uncertain world, more and more companies would be striving to go agile, to be flexible in this world. So if you are not, then your team members at some point, they will get to the state where they would be close to agile mindset, but then you will not. So you will become an outsider, which is not good. So have this relatedness, become part of the change. Do not just resist it. Follow the rules to learn basics. I always say, if you're new to agile or any framework, just follow the rules. Do not try to combine a lot of things, because you have to know the rules. Then during the time, you will see what is best for you, and only after that you can adapt it to your situation. And next thing is, if you just spend 15 minutes daily to do your personal retrospective, like inspecting what are you doing good, what are the things that are impeding you, then you will be constantly looking for solutions. And this is something that it will cause increase in personal efficiency very, very soon. Even after 2 weeks, you will see the results. And the last thing is to start with small achievements. Do not be, confused with so many changes. Just start with something really small, and just, do this change, do this small achievement, and then continue with the other ones. So these are just simple rules that I hope will help you in your work. And that's all that I wanted to share with you. If you have a lot more questions, please feel free to write me on social media or through email. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. And now we are starting our Q&A session. Please, I ask you write your questions in the chat.
Yes, please go on. If you have any questions, I will be pleased to answer those.
I think we don't we don't have a question. Maybe somebody wants to unmute and ask the question in voice.
I have a question. Hi, Anna. Great
Hello.
presentation, first of all. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Well, you mentioned what was the best way to deal with people that is resistant to change. But what if we already have tried that approach and it haven't worked?
Okay.
It hasn't worked, sorry. So what would you recommend us to do in that kind of cases?
Okay, Elisa, thank you very much for the question. But I have to ask a question again, because it is really hard to say like that, because I don't know the context. And actually, I don't know what exactly have you done. So maybe if you elaborate more, like just describe a specific scenario, then it would be much easier for me to answer.
Sure. For example, in my team, like 3 months ago, we implemented the Kanban board.
Okay.
So at the beginning, a person of my team was like very resistant to change. And she mentioned that actually the example that you put in the slide was exactly the same. Like, I have been working in this way for 10 years and everything is going okay. So I don't know, or I don't get how we can change the way we work and how this is going to help us. So we try to explain her the benefits and that it's a change, and always changes bring good things. So she continues with this after 3 months. So I don't know what is the best approach. I don't know if that is like a good background after all.
Okay, so I will try to answer it like in general without knowing the specific things. So what would I do, let's say? First of all, it's of course to understand like the inner reason. Okay, so again, if we go back to SCARF model, like trying to, through coaching or through one-on-ones, even to understand like what motivates this person. For example, what the person wants. Okay, maybe she wants just to do the work that she has been doing for 10 years. She does not want any changes because she's pretty fine with what's going on. Okay, but then we can go deeper, like predefine with what exactly. And she might say, you know, like I have a lot of responsibilities, I'm managing people, you know, I love to manage, for example, you know, like I'm pretty dominant, for example, you know, or it might be something like, you know, I do not want to be in team. I'm an introvert person. So I love when, you know, someone just gives me tasks and I'm doing these tasks, you know. So in both cases, actually, once we know what's going on, then maybe we can just, you know, let's say something like, okay, if you want, for example, in the first case, if you are dominant, you love to manage people, what if, let's say, let's experiment, you know, what if, let's say, you take this first sprint and you are the owner of the sprint. Let's try, you know, organize it, but just accept it as a ordinary task, you know, that we need to do. This is just an experiment. You know, if you fail, then that's fine. You know, so we have to make sure that people are not afraid of this experiment, because usually when they resist, they are thinking about the results. If I fail, then, you know, someone from the management will come and say, yeah, you did a bad job, you know. So if, let's say, we say, if you do it, you know, for example, your team will get a corporate lunch or whatever. You can even have this, you know, reward thing. So let's experiment. And in the second case, we can say, okay, you know, you have these great skills, you know, for example, I don't know, doing, you know, these code reviews. What if you are the owner of the code reviews, you do all the code reviews within this one sprint, and let's see how it works. And then let's observe and let's share what were your feelings, you know? So then, you know, once they are already involved in this change, they will come with different thoughts. So it won't be the same sentences that they, you know, say constantly. So the point here is that we have to remove them from their, you know, standard environment and put them in another environment. Once they are in a different environment, they will start thinking differently, you know? So it's kind of this psychological thing. Or usually also another thing that works is if you invite some influencers, for example, of the company. So someone who has the authority, you know, and everybody is listening to them, like team leads, for example, or like, I don't know, someone whom they respect. And this person comes and says, okay, guys, let's experiment again. You know, let's try this sprint, and then let's observe what were the things that you liked and what were the things that you don't. So it's really about, you know, creating this safety around people so that they are able to make the steps.
Great, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe somebody is ready to ask the next question.
Yeah, come on, guys. Yeah, ask your questions. You have the chance to do that.
Okay, so I think we don't have any question. And thank you, Anna. Thank you, friends, for your attention. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much, everyone, and good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.